Bulavinaka, my name is Litia and I'm from the beautiful island of Laos and I love listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks.
My name is Casey, I'm from Tabua. We love Today FM in Tabua. Today FM rocks.
My name is Selina, I'm from Tavenga Vengamba. I love listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks.
Pula, my name is Carlo. I love listening to the music in Today FM, in Malak Island. Today FM rock.
Today's hit music on Today FM.
In the news tonight, PM calls COP23 negotiations globally important. Wife killer convicted. And Diwali shopping rush underway.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Jackie Smith.
International negotiations are important in furthering the objective of the Paris Agreement. Opening the pre-COP meeting in Nandi this morning, Prime Minister Vurenge Bainimarama highlighted the urgency for the commitments to keeping the carbon footprint below 1.5 degrees. Eleanor Tarangaivu reports.
Nations cannot protect themselves individually without all the parties to the Paris Agreement doing what they have already agreed to do and more, says the incoming COP23 president, Prime Minister Vurenge Bainimarama.
This is why the international negotiations are so vital to the interests of our people, and the same is true for the people you all represent. As you know, Fiji's task as president of this negotiation is to progress the implementation guidelines of the Paris Agreement, to bring the vision of the Paris Agreement to life.
Bainimarama has clearly indicated that he brings urgency to the negotiation table, with COP23 only less than 3 weeks away.
Urgency, political will, cooperation, ambition, and an absolute dedication to stay well below the 1.5 degrees limit is what we need and what we must take to bond.
The United Nations Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed says they are aware that some parties feel that international support is not being delivered.
There should be no doubt that we are entering a new chapter on climate change and climate action, which will be needed to make Paris a reality. We have the agreement. Now we need to increase the momentum and raise the ambition.
To date, 168 parties have ratified the Paris Agreement. Eleanor Turangaibu, FBC News.
The Leonardo DiCaprio Foundation is partnering with the Fijian government to establish a new public-private partnership that will bring renewable energy to eligible rural communities across Fiji. The new Fiji Rural Electrification Fund aims to solar electrify communities with no electricity or that rely on pollution-emitting diesel generators. Eleanor Tarangaivu again with the details.
Under the new partnership, the Leonardo DiCaprio Foundation will provide a grant as seed funding to solar electrify the villages of Vio and Nadula.
Communities served by this program will receive around-the-clock electricity from solar and battery hybrid systems for the same or less money than they currently spend on fossil fuels to run diesel generators for only 3 to 4 hours a day.
Once they are connected, the foundation will work with Fiji to help raise money to electrify additional communities. The revenue from the electricity payment from the communities will go into a charitable trust fund, which will be established in the coming weeks.
Those funds will be separately earmarked to support continued construction and installation of other new systems to more rural communities in Fiji that are not connected to the existing electricity grid.
I've emphasized that every opportunity they need to build a grand coalition for climate action. This is because the urgency with which we must act and the scale of that action requires an all-hands-on-deck approach.
About 1.2 billion people do not have access to energy. In Fiji, this represents about 10% of the population, and these are the communities that are vulnerable to the effects of climate change. This new project is aimed at creating climate-resilient communities.
This is how we must tackle climate change. We believe that this model can be a success to the people of Fiji, as well as to other island nations that face similar climate risks. But we must start somewhere, and today is a step in the right direction.
The two communities are expected to go online towards the end of next year. Eleanor Turangaibu, FBC News.
Meanwhile, Prime Minister and incoming COP23 President Voreqe Bainimarama today held individual bilateral discussions with Australia, China, European Commission, New Zealand, Papua New Guinea, Poland, Saudi Arabia, Solomon Islands and the USA. The bilateral meetings were held at the margins of the pre-COP23 meeting. The meeting allowed the countries to further reiterate their support towards Fiji's presidency. Bainimarama also held a similar meeting with the Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations, Amina Mohammed. The official agenda for pre-COP23 started today, and on standby at Denarau is Eleanor, who will share a little bit more about the talks today. Eleanor?
Jackie, today the leaders and representatives of the 68 countries that are represented here at the pre-COP met behind closed doors to discuss what COP23 should achieve. The meeting will also ensure that the parties form a solid basis under which they can complete the negotiations under the Paris Agreement work program. One of the major or important issues that's been highlighted during the meetings by Fiji mainly is climate financing and how small island developing states are finding it difficult to access these funds. I understand that there were some country statements as well made during these meetings behind closed doors, and there was an exchange of key political deliverables from the countries just to form a basis or a platform of what rather can be expected at the COP23 in Bonn. And Jackie, it should be interesting to see what comes out of the pre-COP meeting here when it ends tomorrow.
Thanks so much for that, Eleanor. 57-year-old Mohammed Yassin has been convicted of murder in the death of his wife 3 years ago. Earlier today in the Suva High Court, the three assessors and Justice Salesi Temo found Yassin guilty. Filipa Naikaso has more.
Justice Temo said that he concurred with the guilty verdicts of the assessors and Yassin's confession that he had murdered his wife 3 years ago in Ba. In his judgment, Temo also concurred that the accused stabbed his wife with intent of killing her. Temo said Yassin's actions were reckless and he wanted to murder his wife because she was having an extramarital affair. The prosecution and defense both filed their mitigation submissions after the verdict was announced. Mohammed Yassin will be sentenced tomorrow morning. Filipa Naikaso, FBC News.
Fijians of all persuasions rushed into stores today for some last-minute Diwali shopping. Many took time off from work and their busy schedules to purchase Indian attire. Kelly Vadhala reports.
This was the scene in the capital today, Fijians making purchases in order to be part of the Festival of Light.
My landlord and my neighbors are Indians, and I just want to be part of their festive each year. So we just plan to wear this during the just before the Diwali.
Why we came around after lunch to look for some dresses to wear tomorrow. It's also a festival that all other races, they come together with the Indian families to celebrate.
Many of the different cultures, people are buying stuff like saris and stuff. That's good to see.
In fashion store manager Suresh Kumar says businesses has picked up today with more than 100 people coming in to purchase Indian attire.
Plenty people, all the race people, they come and buy all the festival, Diwali festival stuff. Last week will be slow, but this week a little bit pick up, busy. Plenty of shoppers come this week and more to come.
Meanwhile, the Shri Sanatan Dharam Pratinidhi Sabha of Fiji says Diwali is a shared festivity with all races.
The message for Diwali is that we should forget the past and be good with our people, and by sharing sweets, getting all the family friends together.
Diwali is on Thursday, a national holiday when the nation celebrates the Festival of Light. Kelly Vadhala, FBC News.
Still to come, lawyer files appeal on Chief Magistrate's ruling. And Miss World Fiji heads to China for global pageant. Stay with us.
Bula FM number 2 NSR.
The Council for Lawyer Seri Vakaloloma has filed an appeal on the decision of the Chief Magistrate Ratu Usai of Ratuvili concerning a matter of privilege. It concerned one of two accused testifying about conversations he had with the other. Both Vakaloloma and serving prisoner Benjamin Pidarath are facing forgery charges brought by FICAC. Shireen Shivan reports.
Both FICAC and Defence Counsel had filed simultaneous submissions on the issue of privilege for Vakaloloma to give evidence in court on his conversations with Pidarath when he was acting as Pidarath's lawyer. Magistrate Ratuvili had also ruled that Vakaloloma, who is a defence witness, could answer to questions about his discussions with the second accused. However, this morning Vakaloloma's counsel informed court that based on the ruling on privilege, he has filed an appeal in the High Court and is awaiting a decision. Prosecution told the court that it was informed this morning of the appeal, however, had not received the documents. Magistrate Ratuvili then ordered that the court will await the High Court's decision on the issue of privilege. The matter has been adjourned to November 8th. Shireen Shivan, FBC News.
6 men of Navosar have been arrested for their alleged involvement in the cultivation of illicit drugs. Police Chief of Operations ACP Rusiate Tunravu says more than 1,500 marijuana plants were uprooted from the suspects' farms. Other drug busts include uprooting 100 marijuana plants from Nayao in the Lao Group, Savu-Savu and Lambasa. Some passengers believed to be involved in the illegal farming were arrested when they disembarked from a vessel that had arrived from Kandavu.
Big challenge for the Fiji Police Force in our effort to control and eradicate cultivation of these illegal drugs. And that shows that there is a need for the support of the members of the public whilst we continue to track down on the cultivators and the dealers in this marijuana issue.
Miss World Fiji Nanise Rainima heads to China tomorrow to compete in the global pageant. National Director for Miss World Fiji, Andy Blake, is confident that Rainima, as the first Ithauke representative, will finish in the top order of the event. Maggie Boyle tells us more and reveals exclusively on FBC what Rainima will be wearing as her national costume.
The 25-year-old missionary, a picture of beauty, is representing Fijian culture, ready for the global stage. Her mentor and creative director talks up her potential.
One, because she's got a very strong talent. She's going to be singing and playing the piano. And two, we've got a very strong Beauty with a Purpose project this year. Beauty with a Purpose carries 80% of the total scores at Miss World.
While the national costume in the past has sparked controversy, this year the focus has been to blend the old and the new.
This costume is inspired by a traditional Fijian Meke costume, but it's very contemporary, which means I use natural fiber and a combination of natural fiber and fabric, and with shells, mangi-mangi.
We've gone with a really contemporary traditional costume this year, which Nanise will wear when she performs Dances of the World, and she'll be doing a sesea.
Blake says while the pressure is on Rainima, the public can help.
If you have a smartphone, go to Play Store, Google Play, download the Mobstar app, look for Miss World Fiji Nanise, and then as she uploads photos daily while she's in China, they can swipe right. And each swipe is a vote towards the Multimedia Award at Miss World.
The Miss World 2017 pageant will be aired live on FBC TV on the 18th of November. Maggie Boyle, FBC News.
The Telecom Miss Fiji pageant will be held at Thurston Garden and along Ratavakumbau Road in Suva this year. Hibiscus Events Group Chair Hirdesh Prasad made the announcement during the pageant launch last night. Initially, the pageant was supposed to take place in Lautoka but was cancelled, and Suva was the next option.
The rides will be at the parking lot of the Thurston Garden by the museum, and we'll have a main stage next to the museum, and along the Kambau Road will be stalls next to the footpaths, and then parking lot at the Albert Pavilion will be utilized for food stalls as well as the foyer for flea markets.
Ahead in sports with Jamie, international players prepare for World Cadet Championship, but up next is Rachel with business.
Thank you, Jackie. Good evening, and coming up in business tonight. Exporters showcase Fijian products at Food Festival. And in Growing Fiji, Superior Roofing looks at boosting entrepreneurship. Stay with us.
Gula Vinaka, I'm Andrea Sorbakura of Nayabu Wendibuga Telebu. Whenever I want to tune in to listen to great music, I always tune in to my favorite radio station, Gold FM, only the classic.
My name is Lita. We love listening to Gold FM here at the Fiji Hideaway Resort and Spa. Gold FM, only the classic hits.
We here at Kano Waterfront Lautoka love listening to Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Gold FM, only the...
Welcome back. Leading business tonight, 6 Fijian exporters were part of the Fine Food Australia, a leading trade exhibition for the food industry. Savara Tambua reports this was the first time Fiji was present in the grand manner at the exhibition.
Fine Food Australia is an international event showcasing food and drink products from Australia and around the world.
It's an initiative from the Fijian government that has decided to pursue export markets.
Fiji is the only stall at the exhibition that has been serving fresh food.
So a lot of the visitors here took notice and you know, that's really our message here. So it's not just about exporting Fijian produce, it's about exporting Fiji as well, and that includes our food, our cuisine, our flavours, our taste.
The exporters are showcasing Fijian-made brands aiming to increase trade not only to Australia but other parts of the world as well.
The representatives from the islands actually see the size of the market out here, engage with buyers, understand what volumes that exporters and importers are looking for.
So our main product is coffee, and we are looking to export our coffee, but we also do charcoal soaps and coconut lip balms.
We produce and export fresh and frozen lines of fresh vegetables and root crops.
Where they can purchase it here in Australia. Be here. Let people know exactly what you're doing. And you'll be able to get it out here in Australia.
Around 27,000 people have visited the 4-day show. Sabira Tambua, FBC News.
And we now join Savanada with the latest from the money markets.
Vinaka. This morning, the New Zealand dollar strengthened against our Fijian dollar, spiking up by 25 basis points after their quarter and yearly consumer price index release was better than expected. The quarterly figures increased by 0.5% when only expected to increase to 0.4%, and the yearly figure increased from 1.7% to 1.9%. The European Union has yet to release its consumer price index figure this afternoon. Consensus predicted will remain unchanged at 1.1%. Tomorrow morning, the United States releases 2 reports, its industrial production and capital utilization, both looking favorable for the U.S. economy with prediction of an increase in September. If the consensus is correct, we might see a stronger U.S. dollar tomorrow. That's the news right now. Vinaka.
Thanks for the update, Savanada. Looking at today's exchange rates and foreign currencies in the Fijian dollar. There was a general drop across the rates today, with the Fijian dollar weakening against the Chinese yuan and the American dollar to close at 3.17 and 48 cents, while the Australian and Japanese yen strengthened to close at 60 cents and 53.17, while the New Zealand and PNG kina weakened to close at 66 cents and 135. As for the commodities market, a mixed day with oil prices closing at $51.92 a barrel. Gold went down to close at $1,295 an ounce, and silver followed suit, closing at $17.24 an ounce. And in Growing Fiji tonight, in a bid to boost entrepreneurship, Superior Roofing Fiji Limited is assisting workers in starting up their own businesses. Chief Executive Brendan Haddison says the demand for professional roofing has increased drastically. He adds the company will become a quality controller and supply materials.
When somebody's worked with us for a good amount of time and they want to go out on their own, I want to support them to do that. Find their own staff, build their own business, help them with their own contracts, and make sure that they've got the quality that I've taught them, that they can then carry that on in a wider community that can be done across the boards.
And that's a wrap from business this evening. Now to the latest in sports. Here's Jamie.
Thank you, Rachel, and good evening. Up ahead, 6 in a row players to switch camp next week. And table tennis players begin to arrive for World Meet. This and more coming up.
मैं प्रेमिला वायरुकु रेकी से सुबह मेरी आँख खुलती है तो मैं मिर्ची FM सुनती हूँ। मिर्ची FM is number 1. It's so hot.
हम लोग बार टाउन के कैरियर ड्राइवर लोगों ने हम लोग के मिर्ची FM सुनो अच्छा लगे। मिर्ची FM is hot.
हाय, मैं संध्या नारिया रेफ्रिकी से मेरे सारे दोस्त मिर्ची FM सुनते हैं। मिर्ची FM is hot. I love मिर्ची FM.
हमें स्पिन टकता हुआ कि मिर्ची FM में सबसे अच्छा गाना बजे।
मिर्ची FM, it's hot.
Six players from the Fiji Airways Ndrua side named in the Flying Fijians will not be part of the National Rugby Championship from next week. National coach John McKee confirms the players start camp next Thursday to prepare for the November tour. Vasnil Prasad reports.
I want them to concentrate on playing for the Ndrua, and then they'll come away with us when we depart Fiji.
This will give Ndrua coach Senerusi Seruvakula a chance to use other talented players not exposed in the NRC.
Be very smart going into playing against this team in this competition.
Fiji Airways Sevens rugby coach Gareth Baber is working hard to bring out the best from his players before he selects the final squad next week. Baber is in the process of developing new players in the extended squad to a point where they can compete in the next 7 series. The Fijian side will be competing in the Central Coast Sevens in Australia at the end of this month and will then compete in the Silicon Sevens in San Francisco before hosting the Oceania Sevens next month.
I want to prepare the team as best as I possibly can, keep it as competitive as I possibly can right up until the last minute, so we're squeezing everything we can of each player. I don't want them to think that or get complacent on what they're doing. They need to be at that edge all the time to make sure they're getting the spots to play for Fiji. Nobody has a right. It's an honour to play for Fiji, and I want them to realise that.
The Fiji Airways Ndrua is in 3rd place with 20 points in the National Rugby Championship. 2 wins, including a bonus point victory over 2nd place Queensland Country this weekend, could see them move to the top of the table and securing hosting rights for the first knockout stage. Eroni Tuinuku with more from the Ndrua camp.
The Ndrua boys are not taking their next 2 matches lightly. They could make the difference between a semi-final in Fiji or semi-final in Australia.
Tough. It's going to be tough playing against them next week, and they're also fighting for a position in the semis, and we'll take that match very seriously.
As the going gets tough, the Ndrua boys will battle to secure a spot in the semi-finals.
We cannot underestimate them as their favourites for winning the tournament this year. We'll see and just prepare as normal.
However, key areas that need improvement have been an issue in the Ndrua's preparation.
As a team, we know we have moved forward, especially on our disciplines and our defence. But we know as a team that we can still improve on that.
The Fiji Airways Ndrua will take on Queensland Country at 2 p.m. Saturday at Lautoka's Churchill Park. And you can catch the live commentaries of the match on Radio Fiji 1. Eroni Tuinuku, FBC Sports.
Table tennis players from around the world have started to arrive in Fiji ahead of the World Cadet Championship in Suva next week. Vasnil Prasad was at the Vodafone Arena today where players from Germany, Singapore, Australia and Fiji are going through final preparations.
The countdown for the World Cadet Championship has begun as the players undergo the last phase of training. Singapore's Zong Ji Hing says she is here to achieve something for herself.
We've been training for about 6 hours a day, and me and my teammates have been training very hard, and we hope to achieve very good results.
The youngsters expect tough competition and have set an aim for themselves.
I hope in the singles to come top 16, if not to win the first match after the group.
Getting some last piece of advice from coach, where the local players were expecting to provide a stiff challenge to the other teams.
Good. It's really tough challenge as countries from all over the world are coming for the World Cadet Challenge. It's alright. It's fine. Just a little strict coaching going on there.
More table tennis players are expected to arrive soon. The competition begins next Tuesday in Suva. Vasnil Prasad, FBC Sports.
Fiji still doesn't have the facilities to host a big international billiards and snooker event. However, this is expected to change in the near future, with plans underway to bring in world-class equipment. Rohit Deo with the details.
We may have the talent in abundance, but we need proper equipment for these players to move to the next level.
We need to know where you are, how we can help, what it is that you need to do yourselves to be able to move forward so that A, your players develop and improve and can possibly provide us with an Oceania champion in the future.
2 professional tables are ready in Australia waiting to be brought to Fiji.
That was the arrangement that I had with Shenders for Oceania as well, and that ran its course. But 2 of the tables that were at Mounties were donated by them to Fiji.
Fiji Billiards and Snooker President Rifat Bhatti has passed on the difficulties his association is facing to the regional head.
What is the situation going on international level, Oceania, because I am board member of Oceania too, and especially was coming here to the discussion on those things going on. And we are looking forward to development in Fiji.
Jones will be meeting with stakeholders in the country to discuss ways of developing the sport in Fiji. Rohit Dev, BC Sports.
Fiji bodybuilder Nilesh Chand has won a gold and silver medal at the NZIFBB National Championship. Chand won the gold medal in bodybuilding while he scooped the silver for classic physique. The Fiji national competed against some of the world's best at the tournament in New Zealand. That's it from sports. Catch weather later on with Angie, and in the world of the weird and the wonderful, a look at how lab-grown diamonds are slowly eating into the $14 billion market of mined diamonds. That's coming up.
Bula, Keron mai singatoka, Keron do talita kana varorong na Radio Fiji 1 and Domoy Viti.
Ayaw na rin siya. Kombinasyon ko do talita kana Radio Fiji 1 and Domoy Viti.
Kaya kuyazo sila tale, naguraramay na omanyi, nandunga. Gitu talita gini ang gitu pinasawale, nagudurong barong na Radio Fiji 1 and Domoy Viti.
Na Radio Fiji 1 and Domoy Viti na bonga ni BNN.
In new media, the hype about this important phone network standard is about to become deafening. We take a look at what you need to know about 5G network.
Hello there and welcome to the Weather World. An amazing sunny weather with much vibrancy really makes everything beautiful. A little hot out there, but the winds kept us cool. Looking at the west, few drops of rain which cleared to a sun-filled day. Eastwards from Peck Harbour to Suva, the capital city was basking in the sun without much rain. And up north, a cloudy with sunny intervals, a great sight to see. At sea, southeast winds 15 to 20 knots with moderate to rough seas. And for the tides, high tide early tomorrow morning will be at 4:50 with a low tide at 10:41. See the beauty of sunrise at 5:35. For tomorrow, we're looking at showers, but don't be alarmed. It will be light showers, but other than that, it will be a clear day. Tomorrow's temps, Suva and Savu Savu will be the coolest with highs of 28 degrees. And looking further onto Thursday, it's Diwali day. The conditions are looking well with very light showers, so that shouldn't dull your decoration spirit. And that's all from the FBC Weather World. Jackie.
Thanks so much for that, Angie. On Fijian Pulse today, we asked, what is your favorite part of Diwali?
Favorite part of Diwali is main thing is puja, to sit down with my family, my wife and kids.
I love the food. I love the food. I can't say no to that. You know, the curry, the roti.
I like diya and sweets and firecrackers.
I love sweets and fireworks during Diwali.
In the world of the weird and the wonderful, the diamond industry has fallen on hard times lately. Sales of the traditional wedding gemstones are sluggish as millennials delay marriage, and expensive diamonds aren't the go-to proposal gemstone they once were. Another factor is that lab-grown diamonds are slowly making it into the market. Recapping the main stories, PM calls COP23 negotiations globally important, wife killer convicted, and Diwali shopping rush underway. For these stories and others, you can tune in daily to our sister radio station Gold FM. To our poll question this week, we are asking, do you think fireworks are too expensive this year? Visit our FBC website to answer. Before we go, our shot of the day, a Kana Lily garden sent in by Sanjeev Lal of Nakasi. Absolutely beautiful. We'd like to encourage all our viewers to send in more pictures of our beautiful Fiji, whether it's our tropical flowers, stunning waterfalls, maybe a visiting cruise ship, or even your favorite pet. Just email them through to fbcnews@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via Facebook page, FBC News. You can also follow and tweet us your news tips at FBC_news or simply hashtag FBC News. That was your FBC News for tonight. From the team and I, stay safe. Good night.
Bula, kera mai singatoka, kera ndo tali taka na varorong na Radio Fiji 1 and Domoy Viti.
Ayaw na rin siya. Uti ko minasong buti ko lang, ndo tali taka na Radio Fiji 1 and Domoy Viti.
Kaya ko sila tali, naguraramay na omanyi, nandunga. Gitu tali taki yang gitu kena sebalik, nagundurong barong na Radio Fiji 1 and Domoy Viti.
Na Radio Fiji 1 and Domoy Viti na bonga ni BNN.